small-scale farmers in Zambia are unable to afford agricultural inputs such as fertilizer, seeds, and chemicals for both crops and livestock. Most of them depend on agricultural inputs from the government, which never reach them on time due to bad roads and delays in the distribution of inputs by agents appointed by the government. The situation of poor access to agricultural inputs is further compounded by the challenges of inherent low soil fertility of most Zambian soils, unpredictable rainfall patterns, and the ever-threatening effects of climate change. It is for this reason that the current conventional agriculture methods being practiced by many Zambian farmers have not helped the nation and the farmers at large in ensuring income, food, and nutritional security, as well as eradicating poverty. Conventional farming systems are further associated with rapid environmental degradations and are not sustainable. Alternative sustainable agriculture methods are being explored and promoted to help curb the problem of poor access to agricultural inputs, low soil fertility, and effects of climate change, factors resulting in low yields which perpetuate poverty. The Jesuit Centre for Theological Reflection, JCTR, is known more commonly for its research on basic needs for both rural and urban cities and its advocacy role from a faith-based perspective. However, JCTR takes keen interest in the agriculture sector due to the large role agriculture plays as a source of employment and income and in contributing to food security attainment. JCTR, a faith-based organization, was established in 1988 with the vision of using research, education, advocacy, and consultancy on issues of social justice to promote the fullness of human life, especially for the poor. Seeing that 77.9% of people living in rural areas live in poverty and subsistence agriculture is predominantly their mainstay, JCTR's hope is that finding alternative and sustainable ways of practicing agriculture would have the positive effects of increasing income generated from agriculture for the poor and alleviate poverty. JCTR draws information from research findings of its quarterly rural basic needs basket research as a basis for advocating for improvements in agriculture. It is from this background that JCTR invited representatives from the House of Chiefs to Kasisi Agricultural Training Centre in order to build a relationship with their Royal Highnesses and also sensitize them on sustainable organic agriculture as an alternative to conventional agriculture practices.
We are here to exchange information, ideas on the current state of rural development in our country, with particular focus on rural agriculture, and how we can explore ways of addressing the challenges that many of our brothers and sisters face, particularly those who live in rural areas. As a faith-based organization that is actively committed to promoting social justice, equity, and improved living conditions in our country, with particular focus again on the poor, we feel that there's a great need for continued dialogue, conversations, and exchanges of knowledge and ideas among all the important stakeholders in our country. I discovered that 70% of Zambian farmers live and work in rural areas. And we also know that they grow most of the food that we consume. However, we know that many of them face huge challenges in terms of growing enough, not only to feed themselves, but also to market so that they can raise incomes that they can use to meet other basic needs.
JCTR is part of the Kulima program in partnership with Kasisi Agricultural Training Centre, Caritas Mongo Diocese, Caritas Livingstone Diocese, Catholic Development Commission in Malawi, and Agakura Agriculture Training Centre in Burundi. The Kulima project is sponsored by Scottish Catholic International Aid Fund that lobbies for alternative and sustainable agriculture methods, specifically that of sustainable organic agriculture, which help curb, amongst other problems, that of low yields.
The main focus of our work in developing countries is helping people overcome hunger, conflict, and disease. CHIEFS development projects focus on three key themes. One is livelihood, another one is peace building and access to justice, and HIV and AIDS. And in livelihoods, we are supporting the development of sustainable agriculture and micro and small business development program.
Kasisi Agricultural Training Centre, KATC, a farmer training centre that has been in existence since 1974, is one institution that has dedicated itself to promotion of sustainable organic practices through research, training, and extension. The training centre is located in Chongwe district and is about 7 kilometers north of Kenneth Kaunda International Airport. From inception up to the early 1990s, KATC promoted conventional agriculture, which involved using chemical fertilizers to address soil fertility issues, hybrid seeds and chemicals to control diseases and pests. After about 15 years of practicing and advocating for conventional agriculture methods, KATC realized conventional agriculture was not making a positive difference in the lives of the small-scale farmers. KATC then shifted to organic agriculture farming in the mid-1990s. The shift from conventional agriculture was aimed at equipping the small-scale farmers with knowledge and skills on how to produce more food on their farms by improving soil and conserving a healthy environment through the use of sustainable organic practices and principles such as compost, green manures, and crop rotations, among others.
Kasisi Agricultural Training Centre was founded in 1974, and at that time, for about maybe 20 years or so, we offered a 2-year training to families. So we had some families in first year and some families in second year. In the early 2000s, we changed from having a long-term training to short-term residential trainings of 5 days. So many farmers come in now on a Sunday and they would leave after training on the Friday. We train usually between 1,200 to 1,500 farmers annually. The main activities we're involved with would be training, extension, research in organic agriculture, and production units. Our extension methods would include visits to the farmers, setting up during the rainy season demonstration plots, and at this time, February, March, early April, we have field days.
By providing training in sustainable organic agriculture, Kasisi Agricultural Training Centre helps farmers learn skills and techniques to improve and sustain their yields in the face of so many challenges, while at the same time conserving and protecting the natural resources on which farming depends. The farmers that have attended training can testify to the change that has come about with organic farming. One such farmer is Mr. Charles Zulu, who has been practicing sustainable organic agriculture for 7 years.
I'm a farmer in Kasenga resettlement, and I'm practicing organic farming. In organic farming, we are using on-farm inputs. This involves the crop residues together with the animal droppings or the manure from the crows and the chicken runs. I found that in organic farming, there's a lot of savings economically because the materials are locally available. You can get them from your own chicken runs, from your own crows, and actually you can even go outside your home and even get them from other people's crows. Other people do not have use for these manures. In organic farming, I've received a lot of help and training from Kasisi Agricultural Training Centre. They call us from time to time, giving us tips on how we can improve our gardens and our maize fields. And all in all, Kasisi Agricultural Training Centre has actually brought us to where we are. We now understand the organic farming on a larger scale.
During the meeting with their Royal Highnesses, presentations were made that explained sustainable organic agriculture in great detail.
Sustainable agriculture is defined by 4 principles that are so crucial to ensure that you have sustainability in your farming. The first principle looks at how best do you sustainably manage your soils. So we have a number of practices that ensures that the soil, which is the heart of any farm, is well managed for future generations to come. Then the second principle is on sustainable pest management. Under sustainable pest management, we have 2 broad themes. The first theme is looking at preventive measures. How do you prevent pests from occurring in your field? And here at Kasisi, we've been testing and using a number of practices that you can use to prevent pest outbreak in your field. The other broad theme is crop rotation, which is so crucial to ensure sustainable production, and then minimum tillage. Below that are good agricultural practices that we promote under sustainable agriculture.
Now, what are the benefits so far of this system? If I have a 1 hectare farm on which I only grow maize, if there is droughts, I'm likely to lose all my maize. But if I diversify and put some sorghum there, some millet there, and even within the same maize variety, I put different varieties, I'm likely to survive different conditions or catastrophes. There are quite a number of studies that have shown that sustainable organic agriculture usually results in a higher diversity. We know that one of the gases contributing to the so-called global warming and climate change is nitrous oxide. And this usually is as a result of the use of highly soluble fertilizers like urea and D-compound. And a comparison between sustainable organic agriculture and conventional agriculture revealed that there is 35 to 65% less nitrogen that is contaminating our groundwater when you use organic material to fertilize your field, because the nitrogen is in an organic form, so what solubilizes very slowly.
After all is said and done, it was time to show their Royal Highnesses how organic agriculture is practiced.
This is welcome to the permaculture trial. This is one of the trials I mentioned back in the room there. So in this trial, our assumption that we're working with is that a 1 hectare field should be able to feed a family of 6 people. In terms of energy food, in terms of protein food, and in terms of fat food. We have a carbohydrate-rich source, we have a protein and of course fat-rich source, the soya here, and the like. And of course we've integrated in the perimeters, the boundaries, there are different kind of trees, fruit trees and the like. So this is something that a small-scale farmer can do.
This is soybean?
Yes, it is.
Why there are these dots there?
I think that should be some kind of a pest. Yeah. Yes.
So how do you control?
Normally the first control, as I mentioned in class, are cultural practices. Yes. So we actually have different kind of hedgerows which attract different insects and the like. So that is the first way. But if this infestation becomes worse, then we'll use what we call the botanicals. We'll come and spray either with the tephrosia. So normally we use that as our pesticide. We just soak the leaves in water and come to spray, yes. Just right here, this is one system, the use of green manures. I mentioned this is black sun hemp. And for farmers who don't have animals, this has proved to be a very good way of actually building soil fertility. I don't know if there are questions.
Yes.
Yes, Roland.
Looking at green ground.
Yes.
To me, it doesn't look healthy. What could have been wrong?
One thing which, of course, this season, as I mentioned, we had a very big problem with the rains. Yes. So the first crop that was planted here was actually groundnut. Then the green gram, we planted it, and by the time we were planting, because we planted this end of, just mid-February, somewhere there, mid to end of February, yes. And when, for those who stay in Lusaka, you would agree with me that we haven't had substantial rains since then, yes. Donald is here, maybe he can answer the question on the pre-treatment of seeds. There's one Royal Highness who would want to find out how do you treat the seed before planting for Gloricidia, if there's any pre-treatment.
For many trees, you need to start a nursery at least 2-3 months before the onset of the rains. But when you start that nursery, you have those black plastics, you have good mixture of soil, rich in nutrients, 2-3 months before the rainy season, then you get this seed. The beauty with this tree is you just directly plant in those tubes. Because there are some seeds like musango, if you just plant it, it won't come out. You need a bit of doing something to the seed. Like for example, you get the seed, you know, scratch it against the rough like a brick. So when you break the seed coat, then you soak them in water. When you soak them, then they'll start the process of germination. That way they'll easily germinate. But then with this one, you just put in the soil and start watering.
Yeah, but the question was, that is the 3 months before the rains.
Yes.
Do you have now to water these things to come up?
On the nursery, yes. For those 2-3 months, you need to water them on the nursery.
Oh,
yes.
But when do you plant them? During the rains, when the rains come in?
You plant them during the rain, but the advisable and recommended period in Zambia is between 15 December and 15 January.
Okay,
this is the tree planting period, yeah.
For trees for soil fertility, it's mainly Musangu tree. If you can see, that directly there straight away, the big tree outside. So when Musangu is still at its seedling stage, or when it's still young, we usually plant it in the field, more at a spacing of 10 meters apart. In terms of trees for food, I'm sure I don't know if you have seen moringa. For moringa, as you know this time, it's a very good immune booster. It has got selenium inside its leaves, and it has got a lot of protein present. So it's a very good tree for food.
Coming to the second one, this is called Mukona. With Mukona, when animals are bitten by snakes, we look for this plant. It's locally available. So what we do with Mukona, we get the roots, we boil together with 5 liters of water. After boiling, we let the water to cool down. After it has cooled down, for small animals, like let's say goats, the sheep, we give 3 Coca-Cola bottles after the water has cooled down. Then for big animals like cattle, we give 5 to 7 bottles of the same Mukona tree. If we don't have the Mukona tree within your locality, we've got charcoal. This is ordinary charcoal. What we do with the charcoal, we get 4 handfuls of charcoal. We grind to powder form. After grinding, we mix with 1.5 liters of water. Then we give 900 ml to that animal, which has either taken a poisonous sting or has been bitten by a snake.
As we are aware to say, the challenge in the organic sustainable agriculture is the issue of manure and the source of water. So I'd like to urge you Royal Highnesses to take an example of this, the use of the center pivot for this, for farmers to be watering, irrigating. This can be seen in most areas like Mwaluwemba, Poanga. Most people there, they don't have gardens due to the challenge of access to water. So as Kasisi Agricultural Training Centre, which is KATC, we initiated this project to help farmers so that the challenge of water can be overcome. The other thing is that this project is not just focusing on organic vegetable production. It's also focusing on the rain-fed crops. The 100 farmers that we have here, that are project participants, that are taking part in this project, we are also helping them in their communities with the other with other implements they can use to do their agriculture.
I want to learn where I come from. Rain is very difficult. So perhaps from that knowledge I will gain from how those things are operating. Then we can see how we can do it.
Now this machinery costs roughly $125,000. I'll talk in dollars, and then you would need, if you have this one, you need a tractor to pull it and so on. So let's say maybe $200,000 to get the whole thing. You need electricity and so on. But you divide that by, see, this would be 100 hectares, 50 hectares and 50 hectares. You could put about 800 families on that. So you divide your $200,000 by 800. It's quite a reasonable price. It's quite economical. When you look at, you think about $200,000, that's huge. But if you divide it by a big number of people, it is, within about 2 years of cropping, they should be able to repay that amount of money. So I mean, to me, it's a good investment.
Your Royal Highnesses, if you look at the other document on integrated farming, the proposal that we have made, that we set up an integrated farm at each palace. This is what that document is talking about, which will act as a learning center in the chiefdom for the community. I was talking to him and I said, no, what we need to do is we need to show you what we are planning as chiefs across the country, and what we want to replicate this type of arrangement at every palace to act as a learning center for the community in that particular chiefdom.
And I would see that our role as KATC would be to maybe help train the leaders that you will have.
Yes, trainers of trainers. Yeah.
So we're doing some of that, and that we would be quite happy to do.
And I think these are some of the issues that the minister was talking about, that why can't you, when you open up these industries, the ministry is ready and has got funds set aside for this. So issues like, purchase of the pivot and this kind of thing, those are issues that the minister can come in and say, have you formed yourselves, are you ready for this? What do you need? We need the money for the pivot. And then, that money is found by the ministry, and so all we do is now in conjunction with the KTC, training of trainers is done, and then these projects start moving in the communities.
After seeing organic agriculture in practice, the Royal Highnesses expressed gladness at the innovation. Their wish and desire is for this approach to be extended to all parts of the country.
This based familiarizing ourselves with this institute, it is quite educative, and the Bible said, my people perish because of lack of knowledge. Now we came here to learn. Within this short period of time, we have learned a lot of things. This is more or less like an integrated farm, where everything is found in one place. And we are encouraging also that at the chiefdom level, they should find an area, maybe 20 hectares or 10, 15 hectares, piece of land where such an establishment can be arranged. We can also again come and train people here to be able to do what we are doing here at the institute.
Right now I can tell you that probably we may not have the desired yields as what our farmers had planted as regards to maize, because people were not able to get inputs such as fertilizer. Others got these inputs very late, meaning that reliance on these conventional fertilizer, I think can reduce if we also go organic.
JCTR is of the hope that improving the way agriculture is practiced, especially in rural areas, can be a sure way of generating and increasing income for many families, reducing the activities that degrade the environment, such as charcoal burning and illegal activities such as poaching, and in turn, not only address the nationwide issue of raising food costs and food insecurity, but also allow people to live fuller, more dignified lives. Indeed, Promoting an agriculture system that is environmentally, economically, and socially sustainable is a means of breaking the cycle of poverty in rural communities, improving self-reliance, and protecting natural resources. The Jesuit Centre for Theological Reflection, Kasisi Agricultural Training Centre, Scottish Catholic International Aid Fund, and other partners under the Kolima project are hopeful that their Royal Highnesses will help to create awareness of these practices to the parliamentarians, influence discussion on agricultural technologies and practices, and most of all, introduce these practices in their chiefdoms.
Okay. It's a mixture of time materials and